Today, I'm super excited because on the podcast now, every once in a while, we are going to have co hosts. And so today, I have Lindsay with me, who is the Director of Product Development at Just Ingredients, and she is incredible. And we are both going to ask our incredible food scientist, Ruston, all the things that you want to know about formulating products. And so, thank you, Ruston, for being here. But tell my audience, why you're such an amazing food scientist.
Okay, that was quite the introduction. Thanks, Carlin, and thanks, Lindsay, for having me. Yeah, what makes me an expert is just that I have all my education has been in professional chemistry, organic chemistry, physical chemistry, but then all of my experience in the workplace has been in food science. I've always worked for co-manufacturers, and with that, you get to know the dirty little secrets. So anything with powders, supplements, liquids, tinctures, all that stuff. Those are all the things that I've done in the past, and helping to bring that here to Just Ingredients as well.
Well, you've taught us so much and you know so much that I think we're going to turn this into like a once a month episode where Rustin comes on and tells us all the dirty secrets behind making products out
Well,
there.
we'll see how well the audience likes it, but yeah, I'm always willing to come on and share what I know.
All right. Well, Lindsay and I have made products for a couple of years now with Just Ingredients, and I'm not going to lie, it is a pain in the rear. And it's because we use real food.
So you guys are doing it the hard way.
We are doing it the hard way.
Making food in general is always going to be a tricky thing. You always have to do stability. You always have to wonder about supply regularity. During COVID, the supply chain went crazy. But yeah, when you're using real food, that kind of is just like an FU to the whole food industry.
Okay, let's take it back and start with natural flavors.
Carlin and Just Ingredients, they were giving us the chance to pitch them a couple options, and we knew they wanted a bone broth protein. And to all the listeners out there, go try it. It's amazing. And that's not just from somebody who formulated it. But when Carlin first came, we were really excited. We were scrambling, the whole R&D team, the sales team. We were trying to get everybody together. Oh, Carlin's actually going to come try this time. So when she gets there, I'm feeling pretty good because I just made a bone broth taste like chocolate. And I give it to Carlin. I say, "All right, what do you think?" She takes a sip. She pauses for a little bit. Breathless anticipation. She's like, "This tastes like bone broth." And I was like, "Yeah, this is the bone broth that we made for you." She's like, "No, I want it to taste like hot chocolate." And I was like,
Oh, we got to
okay.
redo that.
All right, well, let's come back in a couple weeks. We'll bring in a couple more bone broth suppliers, and yeah. So that was my first interaction with you.
Well, because most bone broth out there tastes like the farm,
and here's
and
the
I
thing.
did not want it to taste like the farm.
Absolutely, you could have just been like, "Wow, this is actually pretty good. This is better than most bone broths." You could have, set that bar. This is better than most bone broths. But what you did is you forced us to go back. We ordered like 11 different samples from different bone broths from Sweden, from other parts of Europe, from New Zealand, from domestic sources, and we just had to trial and error. We had to find a bone broth that had the least offensive, least like umami, savory feel to it. And then once we found it, you're still like, oh, we have work to do. And then with cacao, with different flavoring agents, no natural flavors, but different natural products, we were able to get there. So, yeah, you being a tough customer helped us push a little bit further to get the product where it would taste so good. And obviously, it's a big fan favorite.
But I think we should share, when we first started taste testing bone broth proteins, it started with us gagging over the sink to then literally tasting like the farm, to becoming an amazing product that I feel like is one of our most highly reviewed, recommended.
Right.
That is true. She'd bring them to me. Lindsay would bring them to me, and I'd smell them, and I'm like, "Oh, I can't even take a sip of that." Okay, but let's reveal the truth. Are Lindsay and I your hardest clients you've ever had?
So, I think with Just Ingredients, the ethos of real food, make food with real food. We only use natural preservatives like things like citric acid or things that have natural preservative qualities. We don't use sorbates or benzoates or parabens. You guys are definitely the most rigorous in terms of, JI standard is the most rigorous. And because of that, it can be tricky sometimes to get where I need it to be. Sometimes I hear, hey, let's make it taste rocket pop flavored. And I don't have a Rocket Pop fruit juice concentrate or fruit powder that I can use. But uh, yeah, I feel like you guys also understand what is capable when you're using real food. It should taste like real food. And if you've had real food that's tasted better, then yeah, you say we can do better. But I have had some clients that in the past wanted me to make a rosemary oil. They said, "Oh, we found all these benefits with rosemary oil," and then they wanted me to not have it taste like rosemary oil. And if you've ever had rosemary oil, it's very pungent. And even if you're using natural, artificial bitter blockers, flavor modulators, you're never gonna remove that flavor. So yeah, you guys have a high standard.
What I'm hearing is we're not that bad though.
Right?
We could be worse.
We are pretty strict though. We're very strict, and I am really picky with the taste. And a lot of times you have to taste it like 100 times before you even
Yes.
bring it to me.
Yes.
Okay, so we should probably tell the listeners that you now work for Just Ingredients, which that was sort of a crazy story in itself, but we're really grateful you're at Just Ingredients now, helping us make so many new products. But you've learned that I will not use natural flavors, that it has to be real food. So let's explain to the listeners what natural flavors even are.
Yeah, well, honestly, thanks for the employment and the opportunity to work here with you. But yeah, I've known the whole time when I worked for you as you being the client, and then now as your employee, that you're very rigorous. You want to do organic wherever possible. No natural flavors, obviously, no artificial sweeteners or artificial flavors either. But going back to your question was about natural flavors, right?
Yeah, what are natural flavors? Because everybody
So
thinks that they're natural, so they must
right.
be a good thing.
So, natural is kind of a funny word. Technically, if you think about it, gasoline is natural, right? It's a bunch of dinosaurs and old forests that were buried for millions of years. A bunch of heat and temperature changed them into petrochemicals, which we then refine. And
Did you know that?
yeah, so I mean,
We learn
Sure
something
didn't.
new
Wow.
every day.
so it's like, yeah, they're all hydrocarbons, which came from enzymatic processes, natural processes deep in the earth with bacteria. This is going way off topic, but I'm just trying to point out that natural is something that you think, oh, okay, this came straight from a tree, but there are always a lot of distillations, extractions, different enzymatic processes that happen. So the legal definition of what natural flavors are is it has to be a flavoring compound that comes from a natural source and mimics a natural flavor compound that's found either in plants, uh, poultry, meat, fermentation, just through a natural process.
Okay, so under the term natural flavors, though, companies can hide up to how many chemicals?
Yeah, so there's thousands of chemicals that have been identified as natural flavors. Some of them are found in fruits. Like I said, others are, the byproducts of like,
So that's what I think is wrong is that they can have like, let's say 1,000 chemicals and they just get to label it natural flavors. And then as the consumer, you have no idea if you're consuming some corn byproducts, some soy byproducts, you have no
right.
idea.
Yeah, natural flavors, because they can have so many things beyond just the flavor compounds. They've got carriers. They've got they have preservatives in them. They have solvents. A lot of things to make it a clean process. Well, clean in quotation marks, but it's just easier to put natural flavors, and it's legally actually required. It's not just legally allowed; it's required if you're going to use those. Because that way it doesn't confuse the consumer with a list of 2 dozen
1,000
different chemicals.
that we should know what we're putting
Right.
into our body.
Yeah.
I wish there was some law that made it transparent, that people had to put it.
Well,
So
I've heard someone say that natural flavors really aren't different than artificial flavors, kind of in
that's
the grand scheme of things. Do you agree with that statement?
so going back to dinosaurs and their bones and their fat turning into petrochemicals. Yeah, petroleum the petroleum is usually, or the synthetic or non-natural thing that's used as the beginning base blocks for artificial flavors. They just do a bunch of organic chemistry with petroleum products. And if you look at any of your soaps, any of your body lotions, anything like that, everything nowadays comes from petrochemicals. Which,
Except some Just Ingredients products.
That's true.
well, that's true. That's true. I guess I should present company excluded, but But yeah, so artificial flavors, chemically, they're identical. You can have, so do you guys remember, so you might not remember this because I don't know if you're a big candy eater, but do you guys remember Runts
Oh,
candies?
yes.
Do you remember the banana
Oh,
flavor in
yes.
there?
The best one.
So one of my organic chemistry classes at school, I made that chemical, that aromatic flavor, and it smelled just like Runts. And interestingly enough, that banana flavor, does it taste like banana to you?
It's a fake banana flavor.
Yeah.
Right. But it's actually based on a natural compound that's found in an extinct banana. Like
Interesting.
right now, nowadays,
Interesting.
nowadays, we use the Cavendish banana that's, comes from Ecuador. They all look the same. You may have seen like Chiquita bananas or from different countries, but the specific isoamyl acetate, that was the prominent flavor compound in a banana back in the early 1900s that was wiped out by a disease. So it literally does not even exist anymore.
Okay, so this banana flavor in Runts,
Uh-huh.
it's artificial, but it really is based off of a natural compound.
Yeah, it's basic, but literally you can't do a natural flavor of that Runts flavor nowadays because that compound doesn't exist. Like it might exist in small amounts in certain bananas, but everybody's just making it out of petroleum based organic chemicals.
But then can they call it a natural flavor?
I, putting me on the spot. I don't know technically if they can, but if they extract it from a lot of natural flavors, they don't even come from the fruit themselves. Like vanillin, you can get vanillin from vanilla bean, and you can extract it from there, and that would be, well, you could just use vanilla, but you can also get it from wood pulp. So you could just grind up a bunch of wood and extract some vanillin, and that would be a natural flavor. It doesn't come from vanilla at all, it comes from wood. Or you can synthetically make it using petroleum-based chemicals, and then it would have to be artificial.
So
Interesting.
companies nowadays, I feel like, especially kind of in the health and wellness space, they're moving away from artificial flavors. I feel like marketing is kind of picking up that those aren't the best for you, but they're still using these natural flavors, and people don't know that they're bad. We had a customer actually come in. We changed all our packaging to say no natural flavors because we think it's amazing that we do that. We want to shout that from the rooftop. And we've had customers email customer service saying, was this a typo? Isn't it a good thing? You want to use natural flavors just because they don't understand.
Right.
Why is that? Why are artificials becoming bad?
And
but not natural
that's like
flavors.
The progression, the slowly unraveling the whole food industrialization process. At the beginning, like during World War II, we learned that we could like can and freeze dry and make cake mixes, and these things were meant to like save time. Minute rice came out like 1939, and it was like a boom for housewives. They had to do the cleaning and all this, and they could also get dinner done in time. And it was seen as this big, like, oh, this is the advancement of
We
our
weren't
time.
ever those housewives.
And then after that, there was like instant noodles and cereal. Cereal became like, hey, instead of making a real bacon, eggs, pancakes, I could just give my kids some cornflakes. And there were only a couple of these at the turn of the century, but it became super useful for convenience, for palatability, for conformance. Like everything tasted the same every time. That's not always the case with just ingredients. Sometimes we get a raspberry that's a little tartar, or sometimes our banana tastes more ripe or less ripe. But they did that so also to improve shelf life and stability. So these were all. This was all shortly after the advent of like the Model T Ford and what's that? I'm drawing a blank on that name.
We're not car people. I
You're the
couldn't
wrong
tell
people
you.
to ask.
I know, like
the assembly line.
oh, okay.
So
I do know that word.
industrialization.
I thought you were looking for a car.
No. So yeah, they're just trying to improve efficiency in everything. How do we cut the cost down? How do we improve shelf life and palatability? How do we have it taste the same every time? And when they did that, they were able to feed more people for cheaper. So that was really what they were going for. And then it got to the point where they were like, hey, how do we make people buy this food more? Let's increase the palatability. Let's add some MSG. Let's add some flavor modulators. Flavor modulators, they are natural flavors. And literally, some of them can like thin out the mucous membranes in your mouth to make things taste more salty or more sweet. or even have like a warm feel to it. So just as like social media is programming you to stay on social media longer, it's a good business model, right? Keeps you coming back. That same thing is true with modern food industry. If you can keep coming back, if you can reach for that bag of chips 10 minutes after you just put it down because you felt icky, those are the same things that are programmed into food today.
Okay, talking about modulators, flavor modulators, I didn't even know they existed until we started. Was it the
bitter
paraxanthine
blocker.
drinks that
Yep.
we were making?
Mhm.
And I kept telling you, like, this does not taste good. And you were like, well, I don't have bitter blockers to.
Celery juice, I feel like, is
Oh,
the
that's
term we need to
exactly.
use. It tastes like celery juice.
Paraxanthine tastes like celery juice. And every time we get a drink, Lindsay would be like, nope, I can taste the celery. And it's because we don't have bitter blockers. But natural flavors have these bitter blockers to block these nasty things.
Yeah, not all the time. Not all of them do, but energy drinks, things that have 200 or 300 milligrams of caffeine. If you were to have 200 or 300 milligrams in 16 ounces of water, it will be very, very bitter. And so, yeah, it's just the food industry's way of slapping a Band-Aid on it. Hey, now you can get your caffeine and you don't even mind it. It tastes super fruity. You don't even notice.
But I bet if I surveyed 100 people that took drank energy drinks and asked them if they knew there was a bitter blocker in there, they would not know.
Well, unless you did that survey at Just Ingredients, then I think.
No, because a lot of the time, I feel like a consumer who doesn't know that natural flavors maybe aren't the best, they're looking at the ingredient list of their energy drink and it's 3 or 4 ingredients. And I feel like the marketing these days is shorter ingredient list that you can pronounce. Perfect, you're good to go. Well, yeah, I can pronounce natural flavors. There's maybe 2 other ingredients that I can pronounce. That's a good product. When in most cases, it's most likely not.
Yeah, and maybe that's something to do with the FDA. Maybe having it be natural flavors instead of saying what it really is extracted wood pulp, and then we take the aromatic compounds out and distill them and then plate them on maltodextrin or some solvent. Maybe that's not the brand that they want to do. But yeah, according to the rules, that's not only what they can do, but it's how
What
they
they do.
have to do it.
Okay, let's talk about natural flavors though, because you're talking about how they keep everything tasting the same.
Mhm.
And so, Lindsay, we know everything does not taste
No.
the same. So, what do you think is our worst product or our product that we've had the worst problems with different batches tasting
Oh gosh,
different?
so many, but definitely strawberry anything. Which, if you picture buying strawberries at Costco, during the summer, you're getting that super ripe, red, juicy strawberry. In the winter, you may be getting kind of the paler color, crunchier, flavorless strawberry. We face that same problem, and that's going to reflect in the final product.
It does oh my goodness, our strawberry limeade electrolytes, our strawberry protein powder. What one do you think is the hardest to deal with? The strawberry?
Yeah, I think strawberry. So like any fruit, there's going to be at least 80 different genuses of or different subspecies of those fruits. I mean, like a lemon, you could have like a Meyer lemon, or there's so many different any types of fruit. Any any apple. You go to the grocery store, you get like half a dozen different
12
types.
different apples to choose from.
And a Granny Smith doesn't taste like a Jonah Gold. So that's why it's really important for us and for our partners that we work with that we can maintain steady supply from not only the same country, but the same supplier, and hopefully around the same time of year.
That's really hard to do.
Super hard to do. And it's something that we're working diligently on trying to expand our offerings, as well as get secondary suppliers so that we could keep in stock. That's another thing. When you use real fruit powders, sometimes there's a bad harvest. And what do? The product is the product.
Yeah, so there was a bad harvest with strawberries for one country, and it really hurt us. Like in our strawberry limeade electrolytes, you were telling us that the cost went up a ton because of this as well.
Yeah, it's just pure economic supply and demand. When there are only in the world a few thousand drums of organic strawberry juice concentrate, there's some big players that are always using them, and then what's left over is determined by
who will pay the most
and who's willing to pay the most for it. So yeah, it's definitely not cheap. And that, that's one of the biggest things with natural flavors, right? People love to taste fruit, right? People want to enjoy their food. And so if you can minimize the price, either by using natural flavors or artificial flavors, that's just why people do it.
Well, I'm learning companies do it. Like you said, it tastes the same across the board. So if I were to use strawberry natural flavors, every single product would always taste the exact same. So we've got that.
Mhm.
And then we've got cost. Because you were telling me one time that a can of my strawberry limeade electrolytes, this real strawberries were 40 cents just for one can, where if I switched to strawberry natural flavors, it'd be only a penny for that
It might
can.
be less than a penny. That's the other thing. Because they distill those compounds down to such a small amount, you're losing all the phytonutrients. You're losing polyphenols, anthocyanins. You're losing fiber. You're using, you know, what nature made. Nature
In
made
those
it.
natural flavors, you're
Nature made
not
it
getting
taste
any of
good
that.
so that animals eat it and then they spread the seeds. But yeah, really, you're losing the essence of the food. It's just a fake, facade.
But Carlin, to your list, I also want to add supply chain. Like when there's a bad harvest, us with using real food, there's nothing we can do. We can't go out and tell the farmers to grow more strawberries and grow them faster. But when you're using natural flavors and these more artificial compounds, you're not going to have those same supply chain issues.
Right, especially with artificial flavors, there's always more old dinosaur bones in the form of petrochemicals you can use to make more artificial flavors. That's not running out anytime soon.
So these artificial and natural flavors are not nourishing to the body, but real fruit, real food obviously is.
They are very palatable, though. People say, "Oh, hey, make a white monster flavored, this, that, or the other," and there's a reason why people like kind of the more artificially, and even though they are natural flavors, some of them, they taste artificial because, in essence, they are artificial. They're in unusual ratios, and they're distilled in a way that that a food scientist used to create a.
I'm gonna call them out. I think some companies are lazy
Okay.
because of White Monster. Everybody's wanting this White Monster energy drink, right? So we came to you, and now we have a second food scientist saying, everybody wants a White Monster. What's in the White Monster? Let's make it with real food. So I just tasted our first run of it today.
Mhm.
And he figured out that White Monster is, do you remember what he told? Vanilla, grapefruit,
Peach,
grape.
apple.
I can't.
I can't
Grape.
remember.
I
A
can't
handful of
even
things.
remember. But
But
it tasted good. But he took the time to figure out what flavors they were using,
Mhm.
mixed them together, and we're taking the real fruit of it and took the time to do that. And we're gonna make it taste like a White Monster.
and it'll taste like real food though too, because the the combination they're probably using these natural flavors called, hey, this one's called grapefruit, but really there's maybe only a couple different flavor compounds in there. But if you're to take a bite of a grapefruit, besides that awful shock tart that you'd feel up front, you would notice that there's a lot of depth to it. There's a lot of flavor beyond just the sweetness and the acidity. There are different notes. So yeah, it's a complicated science, but yeah, fake food is a lot more simplified.
Well, and like you said, they don't want to run out on the store shelves. They don't want
No,
the risk of selling out.
no, and they will always have more natural flavors.
Okay, we've talked about why it's really hard to use real food. That's why companies do it, use natural flavors. It's so much easier. But what's the value to the consumer? Is it really more valuable for the consumer to find the products made from real food?
Right. Yeah. Speaking as a scientist and somebody who knows a little bit about human physiology, yeah, like nature makes nature, right? What we can do is we can take some shortcuts, right? We can say, okay, what does a human need? Oh, it needs this much carbohydrates, this much, fiber, this much protein, these vitamins and minerals. But that's not how nature provides nourishment. That's not how nutrition works. So yeah, we can break everything down to its constituent forms, but really you're missing the essence of nature, and you're kind of stripping out all the things that it put in there that your body is utilizing. So yeah, it's
So, meaning when you find a product that uses real food, you're still getting the polyphenols, the fiber, the antioxidants, things like that, is what you're saying. You're getting the whole component.
yeah, there are a lot of phytochemicals that we're still learning about, and phytochemicals are just plant chemicals that they just naturally make that are completely devoid in like a Rice Krispie treat or a cherry
And a natural
Slurpee.
flavoring and a
Absolutely.
cherries. But phytochemicals are actually really good for us.
Absolutely. I mean, these are the things that phytochemicals like anthocyanins. They're antioxidants. They help perform vital functions in our body. So
They're what helps keep the cells healthy, and healthy cells equal healthy you.
yeah. I mean, nature designed plants to work with other natural things. The flower that attracts the bee to get its honey, like it's a symbiotic relationship, and that was designed by nature. So to play God and strip out all these other things and make it more palatable and have a longer shelf life and cheaper, that's not going to have the same benefits.
This makes me think we need to change our packaging a little bit. Shout that from the rooftops a little bit more.
Maybe we can list all the phytochemicals.
All the
Yeah,
phytochemicals
yeah.
that are in the fruit.
Yeah, but that might scare off some of your. They'd be, well, what are all these chemicals? in
Yeah, they
here?"
want to know
Well,
what
no,
all
but just focusing more on the benefits of real food, and that it's more than just, yeah, this is real strawberries, but this is real strawberries with all of its nutrients still intact.
I do love that. Okay, I do have a question. Well, I have a question for both of you. But first of all, I want to tell you about, before I even knew you, one of my very first products was pumpkin spice protein powder. And I think it was like our third flavor of protein powder. And I was sitting with a food scientist and I said, I want to make a pumpkin spice protein powder for the fall. And he was like, great. And he said, we'll use a natural flavor for that pumpkin spice. And I said, pumpkin spice is like real spices. All you need is like cinnamon, some allspice, things like that. And he's like, well, pumpkin though is too wet. Pumpkin doesn't do well. So we use pumpkin natural flavoring. And he said, go look at all the store shelves. You're not going to really find anything made with pumpkin and spice. It's going to be natural flavors. And I did go and look, and it was everything was natural flavors. Today, though, thankfully, you can find some pumpkin and spice type things. But I sat across the table from him and I was like, no, we've got to figure out how to do this. This is ridiculous. Like pumpkin spice protein powder, I want with pumpkin and spice. So he finally figured it out. But my question is, now we have, like I said, I've seen more products on the market with true pumpkin and spice in it. So are food scientists just now learning how to do this, or what's happening?
Yeah, there definitely are some food scientists that are like, oh, hey, this is what we used to do before we started using these shortcuts. But then some of the younger food scientists coming up, they don't know anything about it. They might have to look at a textbook that's 50 years old, or they might have to rely on a mentor that knows something more about it.
Okay, but making food from fruit is really hard. We know.
Yes.
You and I have gone through tears, headaches, laughs because there's nothing else to do but laugh. Probably more stress in my life than I've ever dealt with because of trying to work with food. So in the last 6 months, let's say, what's been our biggest headache or our biggest stress making products from food?
Which is funny because I feel like we could tell a story for every product we've ever launched. But most recently, I feel like moving to RTDs, which are our energy drink clear protein cans, have been so challenging. For example, we were using guava mango, real mango in our new sparkling electrolytes. Went to go do a pilot run with our manufacturer, and they called us 10,000 cans in, and we were like, we cannot do this. It is clogging our filters. Our filters literally look like a fruit leather, dried, hardened. We cannot run your product. Meanwhile, we've already planned our launch. That's like 3 weeks out. We've already sent out marketing. We've put all this money towards this product, towards this launch, just to have our manufacturer say, we cannot use real food. Your powder is gunking up all of our machines. So we then had to pivot kind of last minute, reformulate using different sources, still along with real food to make a product that could work. So it is so challenging. And I understand why companies don't do it.
Yeah, when they wanted to quit on us, I wanted to cry because we had like retailers who wanted the drinks. Our birthday sale was coming up in 3
Yep.
weeks. It was so hard. That one was really hard. Just doing our raspberry lemonade energy drinks. Recently, they just came out. Well, they started running the batch. I got there and raspberries weren't as flavorful and sweet. And so I made them add a little bit more sweetener in it halfway through the batch to help with the raspberries. And so we have half the batch that is bitter and half the batch that is sweet.
But they all still are good.
They all do
To each
taste
their
good.
own.
And this isn't just us learning. This is also our co-manufacturers. Like, this is such a novel idea. Hey, let's not use natural flavors. Let's flavor with real fruit. That they had no idea. They didn't, they've learned now. We've learned now. We're both better for it. Now, every time we send them something, we make sure we give them, a sample of the materials to be used. But I think that absolutely goes to your point about the pumpkin spice. This is a relearning in the industry at large. And for you, you're still pretty new to the industry, but also for these established co-manufacturers, they had no idea that they were going to encounter these problems.
You know what? You hit it spot on, because when I started flavoring protein powder with real food, I actually had manufacturers come to me asking me, like, how are you doing this? Where are you getting things? Like, teach us what you're doing. And so now with the cans, it's the same thing. There's so many can lines out there that won't take us because of using real food. And so now on the market, there are a lot of protein powders made with real food. So I'm hoping maybe in like 4 or 5 more years, there will be a lot of more cans made with real food, that we won't be the only one.
I was just told this week, a company I really wanted to work with for manufacturing said that they just didn't have the time to put into making our product work on their machines.
Uh-oh.
Wow. So there's
it happens.
But the pendulum's swinging. People are wanting real food real food in their food products.
And you're not even showing how selective we actually are, because wherever possible, we go for organic or grass-fed or, these very high standards. So that shortens the supply chain even further, because not only is it real food, but it's the cleanest quality we can get.
That is true. All right. What's the biggest headache you've had at Just Ingredients over using real food?
Overusing real food.
Yeah, not as an employee, just using real food.
So my biggest headache was formulating something that both of you were
that we
not only excited about, but that you signed off on, only to find that, we just sold out of that. And then I had to pivot and
that was frustrating. That was frustrating, because we made a really good strawberry drink and then they were out of strawberry.
And so, like we said earlier, just like every vineyard in Italy, how the the wine tastes different based on where the grapes are grown, we sourced a bunch of different other potentially available strawberries or different fruit flavors. And it was only to find out that, none of them were quite right. We had to go back to the sweeteners, the acids, the other complementary fruit flavors.
That is true. We never tell our listeners about our supply chain issue, because like if you use natural flavors, there's never a supply chain issue. You can go to any flavor house and grab it. But we just work behind the scenes trying to get the supply in without ever really telling them what a pain it is.
Are we allowed to say that we have had to reformulate multiple times, switching suppliers?
We should tell them.
And our consumers would never know, because we have to work so hard on the back end to make it match exactly. There's been so many times I feel like we've reformulated a product and we're like, wait, this kind of tastes better.
Yeah.
But that's not what these retailers agreed to. It's not what our consumers are used to drinking on a daily basis. We have to make it match exactly. And that is really difficult when working with real foods.
One was our strawberry slush clear protein, like days before the birthday sale. We formulated with a certain strawberry crop from a certain country. They ran out. So we had to bring in a new strawberry, but the new strawberry did not taste like what we had formulated. So we had to try to mix it with some different sweeteners and things to make it taste like the first one. And that happens all the time.
And our manufacturer was begging us a couple weeks later, because they knew that the initial strawberry supply was hard to get, begging us to switch to this new supplier. It was so much cheaper. It was so much more readily available, would come to us a lot faster, and it didn't taste the same. So we had to say, no,
and
sorry.
Go back to the other one.
Well, Carlin, you're omitting the biggest supply chain issue, which is the fact that one of your ingredients that you wanted to use did not exist at a scale that was big enough, right?
Are we talking about microgreens?
I'm talking about microgreens. You literally invested in a company to bring about a brand new raw ingredient, which
I wanted a microgreens drink because microgreens are so nourishing. They're way less heavy metals than all these green drinks out there. And so I thought, great, let's formulate it. So we formulated it and then realized there's no one in the entire world. We checked the world that can make enough microgreens for the drinks that we need. So yeah, we had to help a local guy grow his business to be able to provide for us.
Right. And if you are a microgreen supplier, chances are we've talked.
Exactly.
Yeah, and scaling up, the idea is great, right? But like you can't make, a bunch of, 20,000 packages worth on just like grandma's microgreens or something, right? So yeah, literally bringing a raw ingredient to market, that is easily one of the most ambitious things I've seen a brand do.
All right. Thank you both so much for being on here. And hopefully the audience, the listeners now know all about natural flavors, that it's really easy for companies to use. It's convenient. It makes everything taste the same. They're cheaper, but hopefully they also realize that using the real food is how they get those nutrients and the fiber, the vitamins, the minerals, things like that. Making food from real food is always the best option. This season, I am ending my podcast by asking 5 quick questions, but you have to answer them real quick.
You got it.
Okay, first
Rapid
one.
fire.
What emerging health topic excites you the most?
Gut health.
What is a piece of advice you give to your younger self?
Figure out what you want to do sooner.
What's the one health practice you'll never compromise on, no matter how busy life gets?
Exercise.
What is your favorite Just Ingredients product and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. I just have to choose one.
Yeah.
Rapid fire. Magnesium complex.
And
Oh,
why?
and why? I really believe in magnesium as a supplement, and it's a great product.
I thought you were going to say bone broth, since you took so
Oh,
many
man.
months making that bone broth for us,
I
and it
should've
tastes
There's
said
Lee's
that.
favorite
amazing.
now. He's
Swing
scored.
and a miss.
Okay, Lindsay, what's your favorite product and why?
Oh, mine is the adrenal complex because I am constantly stressed and have high cortisol, and it brings me back down to earth a little bit.
Do you know what? I can always tell when I haven't taken it, and I did not sleep good last night, and it's because I've missed it for a
Yes,
few
no, it
days.
is the
So
one
I
supplement.
have to have it.
I texted Carlin one time because I forgot it, and I said, "Hey, I needed to bring me some adrenal complex."
Oh yeah, to the office.
Yeah.
What would you say is the best ingredient to life?
I have to choose one for that one too. Well, since I'm a formulator, I'm going to add 2. I think the 2 most important ingredients are purpose and connection. And why? Because you're really just going through the motions if you don't have a why for the reason you're doing everything, and the people or whatever you're connecting to is irrelevant if you don't have that.
I love that. Thank you so much, Ruston, for being here. Thank you, Lindsay. Hopefully the audience likes some of our behind the scenes stories of making products, and
We've
we'll
got
share
plenty.
more as we go along this journey with you, Ruston.
Yeah, thanks, Carlin. That was fun. Let's do it again sometime.